Okay, everybody, Brad Hall from Fenix Physical Therapy. We're going to look at calf mobility, stretching of ankles. This is a great one. I'm going to show you a test for what is normal, and then we're going to show you the two different major muscle groups that make up how flexible your ankle is and ways that we can make it better. Okay? So the first one we call a four-finger test. So Jake, I'm going to have you put your hand right off the box here, four-finger width off the ground, and you're going to measure your toe right off the width of those four fingers. Perfect. Now, with that distance from the box, you should be able to put your knee and really bury that heel down and still get that knee on the box. So Jake passes the test. Let's check the left side. Four-finger test, good. And very important to make sure that those toes are straight into the box. We're not opening or closing that ankle at all. Better, worse, or same? Same. So notice a little bit of rotation. So let's focus on this left one first. So if that's the test, super important. We do this test with no shoes on. American society, right? We got our heels up. We live in these shoes with a little lift. It's going to make it so that we live in a shortened calf position. The moment we take that shoe off and we bury the heel, things feel a lot tighter, a lot faster. So now let's talk intervention. How do we get better calf flexibility or ankle movement? Go and stand up for me. So we're going to go push-up position on the boxes here. You're going to put let's do left leg back, Jake. Now, the most important thing, I talked about these two muscles of the calf. The higher muscle right here, when you look at someone and say, man, that guy's got big calves, that higher muscle is called your gastroc. Underneath is a lower muscle called your soleus. The gastroc, the higher one, attaches above your knee. The soleus, the lower one, attaches below your knee. Why does that matter? If you do one position, you stretch one muscle. If you do a different position, you stretch the other muscle. It's impossible to stretch both at the same time. So Jake, what I want you to do, you're really going to emphasize locking this knee out. Now I want you to push your hip to the box while keeping that knee nice and straight. Now, what do you feel?
I feel a stretch.
Very high?
Yeah, really high.
Okay, so that's that gastroc stretch that we're looking for. Knee locked, hip forward. And Jake, you can even go chest high a little bit more. Good, and really push that left hip to the box. Now, Jake's got great ankle mobility. We're going to notice when someone's real tight, that heel's going to want to come up, bury that heel down. And we're looking at the shin coming down toward the big toe. So this is the first phase of the stretch. Now, the second one, Jake, take half a step in for me. A little bit more, right there. Now, we're going to bend the knee. And I tell people, imagine you're trying to put your knee on your big toe. Now, you see that knee bent. Now, where do you feel it, Jake?
I feel more lower.
A lot lower down here. And that's that soleus muscle that we talked about. Both of these are the primary muscle structures that will limit somebody's ankle mobility. Now, calf strains, super, super common in the first responding world. Why? Because you guys have these boots that lock up the ankles, right? When there's less mobility in your boot, you get out of that boot and that tissue now has freedom to move in a place that it's not familiar with. So lengthening and stretching these muscles is extremely important for people that are regularly in a heel lifted or a stiff front boot position. So this is a gastroc soleus stretch, both very valuable. Last thing we want to touch on is that these tissues of the calf, think of somebody who has very well-defined muscles, you can tell that is not a linear point A to point B muscle. There's lots of rotation. So Jake, hop in that position one more time. Now do the straight leg first. Perfect. Push that hip to the box. Love it. Now I want you to rotate your hips. And when your hip goes out, do you feel how your arch collapses? And you get a stretch through the inside of the calf or no?
Yep.
Perfect. And now come back out of that. So now we're going to load up that tissue, put tension on, and we're going to rotate like you're digging your heel into the sand at the beach. Love it. And then back neutral. Now that rotational load is going to access those fibers that are more going side to side. That's super important because those tend to be the fibers that fail first because they're not the ones that ever get stretched. So this is going to introduce them to that. Now do the same thing, Jake, with your knee bent. Good. And really collapse that arch, shift that hip out. Looks perfect. Great. So this is the two-part series for calf stretch. We want to make sure that we get leg straight, leg bent. We want to make sure that we keep that heel down on the ground, barefoot or in socks, right? And then we want to introduce these rotational forces to get all the different fibers of the calf. This is one that's extremely valuable for keeping calf muscle lengthened, pliable, and breaking up any sort of adhesion or lockup that may limit somebody's mobility over years of being in that footwear.